surgeries and procedures that are not immediately medically necessary. In addition to that, I provided a waiver to hospitals that allows them to have double occupancy as opposed to single occupancy in bedrooms that would accommodate such expansion. Also, I have made some waivers that will increase staffing. Just some of the examples would be waivers that will allow nurses and or doctors to come in from out of state and be able to provide their medical services here. Waivers that would allow those who are recently retired doctors or nurses to be able to get involved again. Other different types of waivers to ensure that we are expanding our medical staff as much as possible. The results of this is, if you see that bottom line and then going to the next slide, is a 142% increase in available beds in the state of Texas. So if you look at the far left column, that's dated March the 18th. It shows as of that time in Texas we had 8,155 beds that were then available. As of today, we have 19,695 hospital beds available if they were all needed to treat people with COVID-19. And so on this next slide, it shows the total available beds as we speak today, the total number of reported beds that exist across the state of Texas, the percentage of beds in Texas that are vacant right now in the event that they needed to have someone occupy those beds who contracted positive for COVID-19. Importantly, also, we have more than 2,000 ICU beds that are available, and a lot of people have been interested in finding out about. We have identified 8,741 ventilators that are available to be used for those who may need them because of COVID-19. Now I want to pass the presentation over to Dr. Zerwas. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have created this strike force that's worked on supply chain, doing things like trying to procure masks and gloves and face guards, things like that, things that are identified as personal protection equipment. In addition to that, we needed to have a strike force also work on the supply chain for hospital beds as well as doctors and nurses. And there's no one better to help do something like that than to bring in a doctor, and especially someone who is a former legislator, especially someone who was chair of House Appropriations, and that is Dr. Zerwas. And so I would like to turn over the presentation to Dr. Zerwas to explain more about what he's been able to achieve and kind of where we are as a baseline right now and where we may be going. Doctor?
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for the bold actions that you've taken, because I think the numbers are going to reflect the fact that you're positioning Texas into a very good place. This slide kind of shows how we categorize the availability of beds out there. The beds that the Governor has referred to already and that I will run through in this presentation are all in the level 5 green box. If you were to walk into a hospital today, there would be beds there would be equipment there, and there would be staff there, nurses, other individuals who take care of the patients. That's what's in level 5. That's what we have as of today, and it's actually, in terms of an availability of that, the over 19,000 number is exactly what we have now as a consequence of the actions that the Governor has taken. Level 4 is where we want to surge into. This is not a number that's reported anywhere. And I want to do a shout out to the Texas Hospital Association and all their members for working with me to help get some of these numbers that would actually give us an idea of what other beds within the four walls of a hospital, if you will, that we could actually surge into. We could open these beds up if we could provide staff and if we could provide the actual hardware and things that needed to make that a bed. What would that number be? And today we finally got that number. We can increase our bed capacity by 7,600 beds just by doing that. These are beds that are ready to go. They just need people to staff them, and they need some of the equipment to make them functional. Also within this same surge capacity is ICU, and as we know, a number of these patients develop a very severe type of pneumonia It's called adult respiratory distress syndrome. They require ICU care at that point. And we can actually add 2,200 ICU beds by surging into certain areas that could be turned into that. And that doesn't include some of the areas that could function as an ICU that I'll mention in the level 3 there.